Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be unboxing a ZOHD or ZOHD Drift, basically ZOHD's version of a powered glider, maybe even a trainer. I haven't flown it yet, so I don't know how great of a trainer it is, but we'll see. Let's start with the reason I bought this plane. I bought this plane because the first plane I purchased this past summer was a trainer, the Hobby Zone Sport Cub S2, and I really enjoyed that plane. I still do. There's something about the lightweightness and the low stress that just makes it an absolute pleasure to fly. Don't underestimate how much fun flying a light aircraft can be. Light aircraft, especially aircraft that are built to glide like this one is, give you a lot more options for places to fly, like a public park. You don't have to keep your airspeed up as much, and if you do end up crashing, it's going to do a lot less damage, both to the plane and whatever it hits. You also don't have to drive half an hour to your local crowded AMA RC club. Another reason I bought this plane is because I live in a windy area. It's rare that we have sustained winds below 10 miles an hour, and we often have gusts like today that are 35 to 40 miles an hour, so I rely pretty heavily on the stabilization provided by my flight controller. With ArduPilot, I fly with fly-by-wire A. I think a lot of us do, but if we don't have that stabilization, we just would never end up flying. The downside is that on the rare days when you do have good weather, you become dependent on that stabilization. Now, I don't think stabilization is inherently bad. I think it makes flying a lot more fun, especially for someone like me who isn't into aerobatics. Where I think stabilization gets a bad reputation is that generally stabilization also includes rate or throw limits or roll limits. So you command full right or left aileron in stabilized mode, but the stabilization flight mode won't let you roll more than 20 degrees, maybe 30 degrees, but usually even less than that. Again, I don't think that's necessarily bad, but obviously having roll limits like this can prevent you from maneuvering quickly. And unfortunately, I think that if you're not flying full manual all the time, there's an attitude among RC plane hobbyists that you're not really an RC pilot. I don't know. Maybe they're right. Let me know what you think in the comments. So anyway, I bought this plane just to do some more manual training. And at this point, that's enough of me talking, so let's go ahead and dive in. We can figure out how to get into it first. Looks like probably a hinge. Yeah, there's a hinge. Very well sealed. No. Oh, I'm just gonna tear this. There we go. Oh, there's a flap there. Whoops. So let's see what we've got. So, got a set of directions. Looks like we just click the tail boom on. Looks like you also have to install the linkages. Close this up before I end up stabbing myself. I don't see anything on the actual like air or wind speeds that they recommend flying under, but it looks like they say here, per design, the model performs better under 50 kilometers an hour. Do not exceed that limit. So I'll take that to mean that as long as the wind speed is under 50 kilometers an hour, we should be good. It's probably not true, but that would just be enough to hold you maybe standing still in the air if you're going directly into the wind. So yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at the plane itself. More advertisements. I actually just bought the Nano Talon Evo. That'll be another unboxing video. Because again, I've decided that my other planes are just too big for what I want to do. So. Prop. And wow, this thing is small and light. I have not had one this small and light. This is almost as light as the Hobby Zone Sport Cub S. I'm only sort of kidding. That one, I don't think anything will be as light as that plane is, but this is really light. Really small. I like it though. Elevator. Some more stickers. Some hardware, probably for securing the battery, it looks like inside of there. There's some Velcro straps. Different prop. Guess if you're using 2S versus 3S. And then we can see the wings in here. Oh, they're actually sealed up. So my guess is, this is probably only maybe 3 feet, probably not even that actually by the time the whole thing's assembled for wingspan. Here's the tail boom. You actually have to tear through all this bubble wrap. There's not already an opening in it. Not a terribly big deal. It's interesting. So the linkage actually doesn't run on the outside. I don't know if you can see this here. The linkage actually runs the middle of the carbon fiber tube here that makes up the tail boom. Pretty neat. Get rid of this box. Something else that I did when I bought this plane was, so I got the FPV kit. And there was a reason for that. One is I wanted to try out their co-pilot. What I like about their co-pilot system, if you're not familiar with it, this is ZOHD's, basically their version of an autopilot. It has return to home, which is a pretty nice feature, especially if you lose signal. I really enjoy when I'm flying. I really enjoy the thought, the knowledge, not really the thought because I don't want it to happen, but the knowledge that if for some reason I did get out of radio range, then assuming I actually have the the fail-safe mode set up correctly, but I like the idea knowing that it'll at least fly back and return to me. Where my RC club park is located, basically like you've got the runway in front of you. And then I'd say maybe 50 or 60 feet from the runway is a line of trees. And so you have to fly up really, really high to actually get above this tree line and not risk hitting anything. But then the second part to this is that everything behind these trees, so we usually like to fly out in the outer field out there. The problem is that behind those trees, this area is basically a swamp. And we've actually had members it's not really funny. We've actually had members that have like almost drowned going into this field. So unfortunately, where I'm flying, this is why I'm always so stressed about like losing this plane out there, and it's just nice having that return to home functionality. So $40, that's not too bad for this. As you can see, it has a little GPS unit, the actual flight controller, which means it also has stabilization, which is pretty nice. I'll be doing a review of that separately, and I'll let you know how it goes. But the other thing that was nice about this kit was I got the FPV version, and as you can see, there's a little cutout here on the nose of the plane for actually mounting an FPV camera. And the reason I purchased this is that I've been wanting to fly FPV for a while, but with my other aircraft, they're large enough that I've never really been comfortable enough to take my eyes off of them so I've just always been flying them line of sight. But the nice thing again is that this thing is just so light that I think it'll be great for not only manual training but also FPV training as well. And I think those two can actually go hand in hand and help. Really, they can help each other. because by flying FPV, you know, you're right there basically in the plane, and you can see when you control, you know, left aileron, left stick movement rather, you can see how much a certain movement of your thumb on that left aileron actually, how much that actually causes the plane to roll. So yeah, very nice. You can see here that there's already the connectors are already set up within the plane itself. Motor is already mounted. Yeah, let's see what's also looks like inside. Oh, that's even nicer. So I've got a couple of wires in here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. One is an XT30, so this would be our battery connector. And unfortunately, when you start getting into these sizes, like 2S batteries, especially during coronavirus, and again, like I said in another video, our supply chain is just so messed up right now. Somewhere over here, oh, you're there. The problem that you run into is that you can't really be choosy about what kind of connector you get on your batteries. You're just lucky to be able to get the batteries. And so I've got one of my 2S batteries that I purchased here. And as you can see, this is not an XT30 connector. So I also purchased these. Yes, I could have just cut it and then, you know, soldered on a new XT30 connector, but I don't really like doing like destructive methods like that. Because as soon as you do, what you're going to find out is the next plane you buy, oh, you're going to need this connector instead. So, yeah, I just ended up buying this as an extra pack off of Amazon in case I need to actually, so I can convert this over to an XT30, but without actually having to, like, cut it and solder on a new connector. It looks like this may not even need that. It may be able to run directly off with this connector because it's the same kind of setup. It's a JST connector. But I think that might just be for the FPV camera set. I'm going to put this together and I'll let you know. And I'm back. Just a quick update. I want to show you the finished plane. I just wanted to point out some stuff to you, though, that I ran into a problem with. I have not yet installed, and I'm not sure I can get this out. Yeah, I can. I have not yet installed the flight controller because, as you can see, there's some screw holes here, and they actually match up perfectly with the co-pilot. Unfortunately, though, none of the hardware, none of those screws are actually included in the kit, as far as I can tell. So rather than just like gluing it down or taping it down, I figure I'll go ahead and actually get the right screws for it. So I'll go make a hardware store run tomorrow. So I just wanted to point that out to you. The other thing is that this really isn't mentioned in the directions, but when you're assembling this, there's a carbon fiber spar here. Don't forget to put that in. It shows it in the picture, but it doesn't actually call it out in the directions, so don't forget to do that. And then the other thing I wanted to warn you of is that, so if you look here, you can just about see it. You can see that there's like a connector in place. You know, these quick connects for the servos, for the ailerons. And the problem is that right out of the box, sorry, my apologies for the zoom, can't really see it all that great, but if these are just like a 1 or 2 millimeters out of alignment, you won't be able to get this thing to fit together. So you may have to like move these pins around a little bit. It's not great, but it is what you have to do to get it to assemble. And I think that's probably why when you're watching other videos about this, what you'll see is like all of a sudden they'll cut the scene and then they reappear and the wings are miraculously on it, but you never really see them putting the wings on, and I think that's why. So FYI, so you may run into that problem, but you should be able to bend them and get everything to fit together. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comments below.